Welcome back to K-Ratio's Week in Preview. I'm Kyle Littner and I'm here today to provide actionable insight for the future, not recap the past. In this week's episode, conditions across the country continue to improve, with some markets far outpacing others, but the most important metric in freight remains significantly subdued. We'll tell you what that means for this week, but first, let's take a look at where conditions currently stand. The National Outbound Tender Volume Index continues its rapid increase and now sits at a number roughly 4% higher than average and 24% higher than the lows on April 16th. If you didn't know any better, you might think the freight market was booming, but national rejections and the rates that typically follow remain depressed. Despite strong volumes, cancellations at 4% nationally have produced national long-haul rates 5 cents lower than the average for 2019. We've touched on this topic of volumes returning before price, but it's worth diving deeper into again. The RPM freefall after the inventory buildup was textbook price discovery, with the market searching for an absolute bottom in the equilibrium between supply and demand. As the market searched for a bottom in price, its function is to force out weaker hands while rewarding those who remain. And that's where we find ourselves today. The drop in price eliminated less than optimal carriers, and those still in business operate with greater efficiency, both operationally and fiscally speaking. A multi-seasonal look at national volumes showed 2020 in white, 2019 in orange, and 2018 in green. Notice how the current volume levels look a lot more like 2018 than last year, yet rates per mile tell another story. National long-haul rates for 2020, again in white, this time look just like 2019 in purple instead of 2018 in green. And since price is the balance between supply and demand, we've seen that demand looks a lot like 2018, yet price looks like 2019. The remaining variable in the equation, supply, must be more like 2019. Indeed, at least this much is true. Available truck capacity still outpaces demand, despite the common misbelief that carriers and their trucks are disappearing from existence. Like we've said before, the companies these trucks haul loads for might disappear, but the trucks themselves simply end up moving freight for someone else. Some companies are just better than others at moving freight, but that's only part of the backdrop. There's another greater, farther-reaching aspect of the industry overall that has a deflationary effect on rates, and that's optimization. Companies are getting smarter, faster, leaner, and simply better at moving goods from point A to point B. While only a part of this greater optimization movement, the average length of haul for a load has been decreasing since the onset of federal hours of service mandate, and this is a good thing. Supply chain networks have become more streamlined from production to warehouse to final mile, and this has led to less reliance on shoving all freight into 53-foot trailers. Applications across all modalities have never been more connected, and this increase in efficiency has removed human capital bottlenecks while allowing freight to move with greater ease and at lower rates. One particular relationship in freight displays this new trend wonderfully and is worth keeping an eye on for this week. Outbound LA volume continues its rapid increase as the country returns to a sense of normalcy. And since May 1st, volumes in outbound LA are up 35%, while neighboring warehousing markets like Stockton and Phoenix are up 22% and 30% respectively. A quick peek at LA volume in white against Chicago volume in purple shows two differing markets. As has been the case for the past 2 weeks, these two major markets are going in different directions, and much of this can be attributed to optimization. Imported LA freight is heading to warehouses, not on to Chicago or Dallas, another struggling major market, for further distribution. Partly restocking, partly the new supply chain way, goods across the country no longer move hand to mouth. Real-time tracking with full inventory visibility gives shippers much needed flexibility and option in their modes. What does this mean for freight this week? Well, carriers will find much more choices in West Coast markets and leaner availability in markets like Chicago, Dallas, or Harrisburg. Brokers will find an uptick in spot activity in these markets, but don't expect super high rates, although this will create a pinch on your contracted business in those areas. Shippers, you might find an increase in cancellations, but don't expect this to influence rates, as there's still just far too much available capacity overall. Again, a big thank you to all that continue to submit questions to our open and ongoing Q&A. As long as you keep sending them, we promise to keep answering them. So leave them in the comments below, send them to info@k-ratio.com, or you can message me directly. For more information on how to protect your margins, our brand new diesel hedging program, or dynamic pricing even in this environment, check us out at k-ratio.com. All of you, please stay safe, and thank you again for watching.